Well, it may be Christmas, but there's a distinct lack of cheer for many. Thousands of people across the East Midlands were getting their Christmas meals from the region's food banks this year. Benefits look set to be one of the great battlegrounds for next year, with the Chancellor talking of helping strivers, not skivers. But how do the people who rely on food banks to feed themselves and their families feel? Well, John Hess has been to one as they prepared their very own seasonal party.
Well, Christmas is just around the corner and there's a hog roast on the go. Just a thing on a cold winter's day. We're at the Carpenter's Arms at Loughborough. It's not a pub, it's a Christian-run charity that provides free food to some of the most vulnerable people in the area, the unemployed, those that are living on the breadline and who may need a bit of extra help. Let's bring in Bruce Bateson here, who uses the facility. Bruce, what exactly is provided here?
Well, they provide us with food, tins, fresh vegetables, stuff that can still be used, but supermarkets throw away. Now,
you're what, a former musician, you're a full-time carer. Is it absolutely fundamental that you get this service?
Yes, it is, because without it, we would, the old cliche, it'll be either heat or eat. So
we'll catch up with you a little bit later, Bruce. Let's go and catch up now with Judith Spence, who's one of the people that runs this organisation. Judith, since austerity kicked in, what difference have you noticed here?
John, we've noticed that type of people coming have changed slightly, and that they're people that one wouldn't normally expect coming, people who have perhaps lost their jobs, and because they haven't had their jobs for very long, they find that they can't claim benefits, or people who are trying to claim benefits and for various reasons their benefits being held up, which happens, errors happen and stuff.
I come when I'm a bit short, and it really helps. And I know they've seen the numbers go up.
You've seen the numbers go up?
I've seen the numbers go up, and I've only been coming for a couple of months. The line gets longer and longer every week.
And how do you feel when you hear, the Chancellor, as he did last week, talking about the shirkers and the strivers, and those people that are on benefit, staying in bed with the curtains closed while others are off to work?
That's probably because they can't afford to heat the house. And the bed's the warmest place. But no, honestly, I don't think most people in government have any idea of how hard it is at the bottom of the pile.
They don't see what's going on. So my message to them would be jump in your car, come down to a place like this and actually witness firsthand exactly what's going on, because all these people are in dire need of help.
Well, we're now inside the food store. Bruce is about to be served. Let's bring in Eddie, who's running the operation here. Is it always as busy as this?
Yes, it is. This is our normal Tuesday and Thursday.
And what are you able to give the people that come here?
We give them fruit, we give them tins. As you can see, they have fruits here. We give them tins and bread and cake. Yeah.
But once it's gone, it's gone?
When it's gone, it's gone. That's it.
So how much would that have cost at the supermarket, do you reckon?
Well, looking at it, I would say roughly at least £15 what I've got today.
And that's a lot of money to find?
Yes.
Will you be back on Tuesday?
I certainly will, yes. Probably first in line.
Free food is distributed twice a week from here. They'll also be open on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. You'll know they'll be open because of the lengthening queue for help.
Well, Stephen Bruce there said basically jump in your car, go and have a look. Will you go and see what it's really like for people living at the bottom of the pile, as someone else described it?
Well, I think in truth most MPs most weekends see somebody, and most of us, in fact more than one, several people come into our surgeries at weekends from different versions of the story that Bruce was just telling. So
you must be seeing more of them.
The answer is that there is clearly more stress, more hardship in the economy, in our society as a result of economic times. That's true. What's important, it seems to me, is to be clear, first of all, that we should provide help to people who find themselves on hard times. So I admire the volunteers who are providing that help, and we should ensure that there is a proper safety net. But we do them no favours if we don't also insist that the real way to help them in the long term, them and their children, is to ensure that the economy works better so that the fewer people are in that position and more people are able to sustain themselves in normal life.
Well, Liz, the people there are basically saying it's not just the government that's out of touch, it's all politicians across the board. They feel let down.
I think that's true, actually. I think people look at all politicians and feel that they don't understand what is really going on in their lives, the struggle they face, the choice between heating and eating. I had a community meeting This week, where people are really suffering, they are worried about what's going to happen. It's a really difficult time with Christmas coming up. People want to do their best for their families. We're seeing our local credit union saying people are more in debt. People are choosing between heating and eating.
Yeah.
And it is up to us, and I see it very strongly as a Labour MP, to say the government has made a huge mistake on the economy. We've got long-term unemployment doubled in the East Midlands since the government was in power.
And the queues, they say, are getting longer. Let's just have a look at how many people are on benefits in the region and how that's actually increased. Housing benefits are a good indicator. There are 327,000 people on it in the East Midlands. That's up 7.5%. In Charnwood, Stephen, it's just under 8,000. And in Leicester, Liz, it's just over 34,000. Those are shocking figures, Stephen, and more than 300,000 people, as I just said, in our region on housing benefit. You can't possibly label them all skivers.
I didn't label them skivers.
No, your government did.
But equally, in particular, those people who are struggling in the way Liz describes, and I don't dissent from the description of the hardship, they know that there are also people in their community that they live next door to who they themselves describe as skivers. So we shouldn't imagine that this problem does not exist. It's a small problem, but it does exist. What we ought to be doing is making certain that all of those who are engaged and looking after themselves want to find jobs, want to be able to sustain themselves, look after their families. We have an economic environment where they can find the jobs and they can look forward to improving living standards.
Well, they don't look like they're looking forward to that where we were in Loughborough. But mind you, though, Liz, that food bank there in Loughborough has been running for 3 years. So it's not just something that started now. This has been going on since Labour was last in government.
We've seen around one new food bank open every single week across the country. Food banks now giving out 70%.
You've got Fair Share in Leicester doing their bit.
Fair Share, 70% more food they're giving out now than 3 years ago. And the truth, I'm afraid, Stephen, is that what the government announced in the autumn statement, their cuts to benefits and tax credits, 6 out of 10 of those people affected are in work. They are struggling and striving to do the best for their families. And I think they feel it is incredibly unfair that they are paying the price when millionaires are getting a big tax cut. They don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's fair.
And then people turn around and say that you're out of touch, as those people did in the queue.
Yeah, politicians will always be accused of being out of touch, but what any politician ought to do is to ensure that they do have roots in their own constituency, they meet people in their own constituency, they engage with problems of people
but
right
Liz was
through
saying
the
6
social
out of 10 of those people are actually working.
But we also vote in Parliament for the right thing, not just that we know what's happening in our constituencies,
absolutely.
but that in Parliament we say we want a fair system where people who can work are helped and supported to go into work, and that people who can't get a decent safety net so that they can live a decent life. I think in the 21st century, in one of the richest countries in the world, to have those food banks really is a scar on society, and we need to face up to that and challenge it.
Let's you point the finger at the government, don't think actually people in that queue would thank either of us for pointing fingers at each other. The truth is that in this country and right across the world, actually, as a result of what happened in 2008, there is a recession going on. Times are tougher. Yeah. What we then have to do is to look after the people who are in hard times.
But Germany's growing by 3 or 4% in the economy a year. America's growing. This country, it's flatlining. We've got such problems with long-term unemployment. The government's work programme, we discover...
But we can't keep paying out benefits to everyone,
you've got to get people into work. But the way that you do that is what we did was we had a job guarantee for young people, but we said you had no option to turn it down. The government scrapped that work programme. Its new work programme, only 2 out of every 100 people have actually found work.
No, that's not right, Liz.
Wrong.
What is happening? What's happening in the new work programme is that those who are running them are being paid only when the people on those programmes have long-term sustainable work.
The evaluation of the work programme that's just come out found that more people probably would have found work without the work programme.
I think we're going to be hearing an awful lot more about this in the new year, aren't we?